The Trump regime was about to attack Iran, and the American president was saying that help is on the way. It wasn't only the American president, multiple figures in his administration were very happy about the fact that an attack against Iran is going to be imminent. It wasn't only threats, it was moves on the ground, joined by the United States and Israel, and that led to certain countries taking precautionary measures. Advice against travel to Iran and Israel, withdrawing or advising people to get away from Iran and from Israel too, up until it reached a moment where things started to shift. Donald Trump started to change his tone, and the American administration started to act as if an attack is actually not imminent. So what changed? What happened exactly that led to this either delay or cancellation temporarily of the operation led by the United States of America, this time against Iran? Multiple developments took place. In the past 1 week, we've had multiple flights to and from Iran, even during times where Iran was preventing other foreign aircraft from traveling on top of Iran. Some of these planes came from the Belarusian area, others came from the Chinese side. There were multiple things that took place that also proved to be a turning point. One of these things was, for example, what happened when Iran shut down the Starlink for the first time. Now, that act was more significant than what people might expect. And there are very many reasons behind it that could directly be linked to this delay of the American administration. I will explain to you why exactly. But if we start with the Starlink, Elon Musk, close to the American regime, tried to give the Iranians a free Starlink connection so that they can receive their orders from their masters abroad to wreak havoc and destruction in Iran. He was boasting about it. He was changing the flag of Iran, and some images were circulating of the Starlink logo on the Iranian flag too, up until the action came from Iran and they stopped Starlink. Stopping Starlink, that means that Iran can jam satellites hundreds of kilometers away. We're talking about very advanced technology. Iran also managed to have complete control over its airspace in terms of technology, radars, and communication to prevent any external communication coming from outside to Iran, but not preventing communication from Iran to the outside world, in a clear step up from what Israel and the United States are used to. What happened here? Well, this happened according to several reports. Iran managed to obtain the electronic warfare system from Russia called Krasukha 4 in specific, a very advanced electronic warfare system that is designed to jam satellite communication to the country. Now, in terms of satellite communication, it's vital for any country that wants to conduct an attack against another country to have advanced technology. As a matter of fact, both the United States and Israel tried to jam the signals of the missiles going from Iran to Israel or to other locations that Iran wants to target. What does Krasukha do? Krasukha, a very highly developed Russian system, targets signals that range up to 300 kilometers. 300 kilometers means that they can jam satellites. This is a very advanced system with far-reaching capabilities. However, it wasn't only that system. There were also other reports about the Moscow system, Moskva 1, that the Iranians reportedly used for the first time, or that the Americans thought that the Iranians used or obtained for the first time, something that led the United States to also have recalculations that relate to its moves against Iran. Moscow, in this case, has a different role, according to reports, apart from the Krasukha. This one is intended to replace certain radars that are linked with the air defense systems, the Russian air defense systems that Iran has, so that it can make the enemy blind to their whereabouts. Usually with the anti-air defense systems, they will have their own radars, and the enemy tries to attack the radars to blinden the system so that it doesn't know what to attack. Without a radar, it's blind. Now, it's common for them to use a replacement radar. However, they also can tend to fail. But with Moskva 1, again, it's another advanced mechanism and machine that Iran can use to counter the prospect of its air defense systems, particularly the ones linked to the Russian air defense systems, apart from their own and the Chinese ones that they got, which also hinders the prospect of the enemy striking them and conducting strikes against them, therefore making Iran unable to thwart any attacks coming. All of that is directly linked to the Iranian authorities disabling the Starlink communication system, which means we had a situation here where Iran, without firing a bullet against any country, sent the ultimate message to the United States and Israel by taking down the capability of Starlink, one of the most advanced satellite communication systems nowadays, that people can buy and start using remotely and independent of any other communication systems based on a regular subscription. However, were these the only reasons that this attack might have been delayed or postponed? Because again, we're not talking about a total cancellation. There are still moves on the ground that indicate an attack can come at any moment, by the way. And the United States would try and play normal, act normal, so that they can at least have some level of a surprise element against Iran. Well, no. Iran also developed more of its Khorram Shahar and Khaybar Shakan missiles that are literally almost impossible to take down. Both the Israeli and the American systems could not take down these missiles. They did take down some of the older version missiles when Iran was conducting attacks. However, towards the later stages, when Iran was starting to use even not the latest gen missiles, none of the systems were working. In the events that the more advanced missiles were used, nothing was happening against them whatsoever. We saw that live during the 12-day war and even before, but during the 12-day war, there were live images and footage, videos of the most advanced Israeli systems failing miserably against the Iranian missiles. And we're talking about Arrow 3 too. Arrow 3, the United States sent the THAAD. Nothing happened there. So from an Iranian perspective, not only did they have that threat that both the United States and Israel knew about, but potentially thought that they can gamble with it again, but they also had the radar systems and electronic warfare systems, electromagnetic warfare systems implemented in Iran or that Iran obtains too, that could have potentially deterred or delayed this attack coming from the United States regime and the genocide state against Iran in the form of an act that was intended against a Starlink satellite devices linked to Iran. All of these are reasons that that led to the United States to potentially delay and recalculate its moves. And there is definitely some sort of a change in tone. Donald Trump automatically started to speak about Iran canceling executions, as if, Mr. Human Rights is talking. Then Lindsey Graham looked depressed yesterday, literally. And there are no imminent actions now that are showing that the United States is going to attack Iran. That said, that does not remove the prospect of an attack coming. These are certain elements that could delay an attack, but not completely prevent it. Because despite all of these moves coming from Iran that are necessary to protect its people and its national security and its sovereignty and its territorial integrity as well, the United States, led by Donald Trump, is one of the most provocative and warmongering regimes that the United States probably ever had. He's boasting about being the most supportive president towards Israel, heavily influenced and moved by Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israel lobby. And Israel is still very keen on taking down the establishment in Iran, or at least creating as much havoc as possible. Now, will these moves from Iran be at a level where they can even prevent future attacks? Again, that's one of the main questions. Well, to an extent, perhaps they could, but the United States, again, they still have the capacity to attack Iran, likewise with Israel, and that need is still there. Netanyahu still wants to attack Iran. Warmongers and hawks in the American regime still want to attack Iran. So even though there is a slight delay, there is no clear cancellation or ruling out an attack that may happen in the future, and that could be sooner than what anyone expects.